Great. So welcome everyone. And we're working again today with the vagus nerve and vagal tone. We'll begin on our backs. And once again, two blocks and either a small bolster or a rolled up blanket would be handy. So make your way to your mat and just begin on your back with some organic movement. That just means you move in a way that your body's calling you to move. And if you recall from what we've discussed previous 2 days this week, if you are feeling like you want a little more energetic practice, you can increase the inhale or pause at the end of the inhale. And if you're feeling agitated at all, you want to increase the exhale and or pause at the end of the exhale. And vagal tone is when we can have a nice balance between having enough energy and being relaxed and calm. So even breathing, and we'll pretty much do the even breathing through class today. But the invitation from me is to really have this awareness as you practice. If you feel agitated in any of the shapes that we get into today, just increase the exhale. Okay. So once again, on your back, moving in any way, maybe just resting. If you're agitated already, you could start with some really deep breathing, ujjayi breathing, or just increase the exhale. And I'll guide in a minute. Great. So make sure that you're muted for the recording. If you're not on your back already, go to your back and just reach your arms overhead, stretch through your heels, stretch through your arms. And then you could interlace your hands behind your head, bring your feet over to outside the right corner of your mat. So feet are in Tadasana. And then just slide your left elbow behind your head as much as possible. So create the Bananasana. And pay attention here to the right side of your body where your rib cage has been contracted. The side body's been contracted slightly. We'll come back to that later. And then release, come back through center. Take both feet to the left corner of your mat. Slide your right elbow behind you. And again, notice the left side body contracted. Open up right side. And then just come back to center. Keep your hands where they are and take the soles of your feet to the floor. And just a few pelvic tilts. This is something we do quite a lot. On the inhale, draw the pubic bone away from the navel. And on the exhale, pubic bone back towards the navel and press your low back into the floor. But we'll add opening the throat. So we're gonna add some of the more particular movements that might help us access this vagus nerve with some really very common movements we do. So the next time you draw your pubic bone away from your navel, tuck your chin into your chest. And then when you draw the pubic bone back towards the navel, slide your chin up towards the ceiling. And just move back and forth in that way. So working in the cervical spine, the muscles in the front of the neck. Right. Then you can let that go and just bring your arms down to your sides. Keep the soles of your feet on the floor, knees bent. Slide your left hand down towards your left hip and turn your head to the right. And then release, and then slide your right hand down towards the right hip, turn your head to the left. So we call this shoulder scrubbing. So we're moving the shoulder blades on the back, great for the shoulders, but we're adding this turn in the opposite direction so that we can work in the neck a little bit more. You know, the next time you bring your right hand down towards your right hip and you turn your head to the left, can you drop your knees over to the left as well? So we'll also add some twisting today. This twisting really affects our abdominal organs, right? So then inhale back to center, slide your left hand down towards your left hip, turn your gaze to the right, and then drop your knees to the right. Okay, and then just move back and forth with that little pattern a few times at your own speed. And you can use your breath to shape your emotional or mental state. You're where you are this morning, whether you're agitated or you're feeling like you need some energy, just use the breath to shape your mental, emotional state. And come back to center, and then we'll do some dynamic bridge or rolling bridge. So just press into your feet, lift your hips, both arms behind your body first, and then exhale, lower everything back down. And just do a few rounds like that, just nice, gentle lift, articulating through each spine bone as you come back down to the floor. Feeling into this rhythm. And then from here, let's just lift the toes so that you're on the heels. So we're adding this real obvious contraction of the hamstring. So as you lift, draw your heels back towards your hips and feel your hamstrings coming online as you lower back down. So keep the toes lifted. So the hamstrings are working here. We want the hamstrings alive for back bending to come up. It comes up later. And once you've done a few rounds like that, then one arm at a time. So keep the toes lifted. Press into your heels, lift your hips. Right arm comes behind. And then as you sweep your right arm out to the side, turn your head to the left and bring everything back down. Feel the work in your neck. Come back to center, press into your heels, lift your hips. Left arm comes behind. And then as you sweep your left arm back down to the side of your body, turn your head to the right. All right, and that's the pattern. Pressing into the heels, lifting right arm and hips. And then as you sweep your right arm back, turn your head to the left. Feel the stretch in the side of your neck. And other side. See if you've still got contact with the hamstrings, keeping the toes lifted. And let's go maybe 2 more times on each side. And the next time you come back down to the floor, release your legs again long, stretch the arms overhead, pressing through one heel and the other heel. And then bending the knees again, soles of the feet to the floor. Then we'll stack knees over hips and bring your hands behind your head. And here, let's just do a few rounds of yogi crunch. So we're waking up the muscles in the core. So inhaling here. And when you exhale, just draw your elbows together, lift head and shoulders off the floor, and inhale back down to the floor. And you can make this as fierce as you want by twisting to the side or bringing the feet a little bit further away from the hips. You could extend the legs and bring the legs back in. And take as many rounds as you need to feel a deep engagement in your core. You could do some bicycle. Bring opposite knee in towards opposite elbow. Begin to feel some heat in your body. You could also extend legs up, arms up, lift head and shoulders, and then hands back, feet back, and repeat. There's no shortage of abdominal work, that's for sure. And once again, bring the soles of the feet to the floor, just a nice, easy side-to-side motion with the knees. And then as your knees fall in one direction, take the gaze or turn the head in the opposite direction. Coming back to center and then rolling to your side, crossing at the ankles. Let's come up to a seat. So any way that you feel comfortable sitting for a couple of things here. You could sit in Sukhasana or back on your heels in Vajrasana, Virasana. But we're going to take the left ear to the left shoulder and then just gently come with your left hand, just a little bit of gentle pressure, and turn your gaze up to the right. And we're going to hold this for 30 seconds. And you could, if you revisit the recording or you are watching this as a recording, if 30 seconds or counting doesn't work for you, just go until you feel a shift of some sort. Okay, back to center. And now we'll take right ear to right shoulder. Right arm comes up and over, right hand, side of the head, just a slight pull, just slight. Turn your eyes up to the left. And 30 seconds here. What's happening with your breath? Are you holding your breath? Keep the breath even, steady, relax. And you could even, when I do these, I have a lot of crunchiness in my neck. I might take my hand to the off the top of my head, bring it to the other side. Just lift your head back up to center. And then with your head at center, let's just stir through our pelvis, upper body like a spoon in a pot. Both directions. So we'll be working a little bit on our bellies, right? Where the vagus nerve, the wandering nerve ends. And so if you can imagine how we might affect that nerve, some twisting and some pressing on the belly. So let's take an easy, come back to center. Let's just take an easy twist in one direction. And exhale through center, or inhale through center and come to the other side. And just take a few, just easy twisting. Holding if you want to. We'll hold together in a minute here, or a few rounds. And so the first side you went to, we'll hold now, and then take your gaze over the opposite shoulder. So de-rotating the head here. You can close your eyes down and really get a sense of how it is for you right now. And then release and come to the other side. Start off looking in the direction of your twist, and then de-rotate the head, looking in the opposite direction. Can you open through the collarbones? Allow the neck to be long. Look inside. How is it now? And then release. And we'll come to tabletop. Now, I guess before you get going, just have if you made that roll with your blanket, have that handy. And we'll come just to tabletop and just begin some cat-cow movement. On the inhale, let your belly reach down towards the floor and lift your gaze in your head, spread through the tail feathers, and on your exhale, pressing around. And then from this rather linear cat-cow, can you add some movement side to side? So as you round your back, you move your rib cage over to one side, contracting the other side. And then in the inhale, you come around in the opposite direction. So we do this quite a bit. in practice, but can you have this awareness now that you're stimulating the vagus nerve with this work in the abdomen? Once you've gone around in one direction, switch the direction. You could always be on your forearms if you have any impact in your wrists or hands today. And then come back to center, bring your knees together, and we'll take now the roll, if you've got one. If you don't have one, not a big deal, but I'm going to set the roll right at the top of my thighs, and I'm going to drop into a version or a variation of child's pose. So the roll is pressing on my abdomen. If it's at all uncomfortable, you can take it away and just come into child's pose. Hands reaching out in front. And I've got my ankles together, my legs together, and I'm pressing on the roll. And then I'll just take my hands to the right for a couple of breaths. Inhale to walk through center. Take my hands to the left. Back through center, and then walk your hands back to your knees so that you can press up and just set the roll to the side. We'll use it again. And now from here, inhale and just come up onto your knees. So standing on your knees. Inhale the arms up above your head. And as you exhale, fold down to the mat in sort of an extended child's pose. So hands are out in front. And then you'll inhale and come forward into a modified plank, so on your knees. And then exhale, lower to the floor. Inhale, press into baby cobra. Exhale, lower down to the floor. Inhale, press up. Exhale, drop hips back, child's pose. Inhale, sweep your arms up, come up onto your knees, arms overhead. Exhale, hands land at heart center. Inhale, sweep your arms up. Exhale, drop your hips back, reach your hands forward. Inhale, slide hands forward and nose along the mat as you come into sort of a modified plank, and then lower to the floor. Inhale, press into baby cobra. Exhale, lower your head to the floor. Inhale, press up. You're in that half plank again. And exhale, bring your hips back to your heels, child's pose. Inhale, slide your hands towards your knees and up. Standing on your knees, on your shins, and exhale, hands to heart center. Now, it might not look exactly like mine, but that's the little vinyasa we're going to do. We inhale, the arms come up. We exhale towards a child's pose. We inhale to a half plank. We exhale, lower to the floor. Inhale, baby cobra. Exhale, lower down. Inhale as you press up. You come to a modified table. Exhale, hips come back, child's pose. Inhale, slide your hands towards your knees and arms up in the air. And exhale, hands come to heart center. Okay, do a couple more just like that. We will meet after a few rounds back on our knees, standing on our knees. It helps to close your eyes so that you can feel inside how it is. And use your breath to shape your mind, shape your emotion, regulate the energy. Great, so now everybody catching up here. We'll meet on our knees, standing on our knees. Let's inhale the arms back up. And exhale, drop into that child's pose. Inhale as you slide your hands forward. And you're in the modified plank. You could always turn your toes under if you want and come up into high plank. And exhale, lower slowly to the floor. And then hands back by your low ribs. Let's press into a baby cobra and hold this. Let's go 3 rounds of breath here. Keep the back of your neck long. So think about length through your torso rather than a high arch, deep arch in the back, lifting high. Just think about length here. Tops of the feet press into the floor. And then inhale to press yourself up to table. And exhale, just reach the hips back towards the heels without touching the hips down. Just feel for length through your back. And then inhale, we'll come forward again. We're in that modified plank. And slowly exhale, elbows out to the side, lower your chest right between your hands. And now inhale, baby cobra, but release the hands and bring your arms back like you're flying through the air. Keep the back of the neck long, pressing into your abdomen into the floor. You could bring the legs off the floor as well. Reach the legs back. Squeeze the legs together, feel the work of the hamstrings. And we'll go 3 rounds of breath here. Bend at the elbows, bring your hands to your low ribs, press yourself up. On the exhale, slowly reach your hips back towards your heels, but don't rest. Bring your hands forward, tenting your fingers. Feel length through your spine, opening in the side of the body. And then inhale back up to a modified plank. Exhale, lower. And this time, bring your arms into the Sphinx pose, so elbows underneath shoulders. And turn your gaze over your left shoulder. We're going to hold that for 30 seconds. Really have some engagement in the forearms. Feel your belly engaged and feel the connection to the floor, belly to floor. Again, if you come back to practicing any of these, you don't have to go 30 seconds. It's a pretty long time, but we want a shift to happen in the neck, in the lengthening through the back, in the back bend itself. We'll come back to center and then take our gaze over the right shoulder. And is there anywhere you can make this easier? Can you soften your face? We talked about the vagus nerve running down the face and the neck. Can you soften your face and the muscles around your eyes and your mouth? Release the jaw. And if you can take your eyes, up to the right here, we're looking over the right shoulder. If you can bring your gaze up to the right, stretching the eye muscles, and you'll feel that in your neck, a little change. If you just need to look over the shoulder, that's fine too. And relax back to center, and then just bring your head and shoulders down, or your head down to the floor. Bring your arms alongside your body. And then inhale into Shalambhasana, locust pose. You can bring the hands behind, squeezing an imaginary block between your hands. Really feel your belly pressing into the floor. And then bend at the elbows, bring your hands to your low ribs, press yourself up, and back to child's pose. Go back to that vinyasa now. We'll inhale, come up onto our knees, bring the arms overhead, and exhale, hands to heart center. Inhale, sweep arms up. Exhale, fold. Inhale, you come forward, slide the hands forward. You're in a modified plank. And exhale, lower to the floor. Inhale, press up, baby cobra. Exhale, release to the floor. Inhale, press into your hands, come up. Exhale, lower your hips back towards your heels. Inhale, sweep your arms up. Reach the arms overhead. Exhale, hands to heart center. Let's do one more. Inhale, sweep up. Exhale, fold, bring the hands forward. Inhale, you come up through table and come into modified plank. Exhale, lower to the floor. Inhale, baby cobra. And then we're going to exhale here and rest. So you can make a little pillow with your hands. Or take one cheek to the mat and then the opposite, but just feel your belly against the floor. Take a couple of rounds of breath. What would it feel like if you lengthened your tailbone down towards your heels? And then press back to Sphinx. But now bring the left forearm across your body or across the front of your, right underneath your face. So your forearm is parallel to the short edge of your mat. And here we'll take a twist. So you could take your right hand out to the right and just twist open, looking over your right shoulder. Draw the low, the belly, the side belly that's closest to the floor. Draw that up and in. And then from here, keep the forearm, the left forearm where it is, and keep rolling open and take a quadricep opener. Engage the belly that's the side waist that's towards the floor. Engage your obliques here. Then release back. Come back to Sphinx. Take a settling breath. Then we'll bring the right forearm across. Left hand can come out and just twist open. And then you keep rolling open so you're on your right side. You'll take your left foot in your left hand for a quad opener. Commit to the bottom side waist coming up, reaching towards the midline. Roll back to your belly and to Sphinx. Take a settling breath here. Drop the shoulders away from the ears. Neck is long. And then from here, right hand underneath low ribs, left hand underneath low ribs. Press yourself up to table. Reach your toes underneath and press up, downward facing dog. Here you might want to bend through the knees. Just first downward dog, so take a little time to open up. And then let's all shorten the downward dog stance, so bring your feet a little closer to your hands. Bend through your left knee and take your right hand over to the outside of your left leg. And then re-straighten. Maybe you can even bring your gaze or your head underneath your left armpit. So twisting, a little twisting action in this downward dog. And then release. Opposite side, so bend through the right leg. Take your left hand to the outside of your right leg. Re-straighten and get a twist here. By trying, some of you might even be able to bring your whole torso underneath your right arm. And release. Coming back to downward dog. Step the feet back. On your next inhale, walk your feet up to your hands. Inhale to a halfway lift and exhale, fold. We'll do a couple of sun salutations here. So as you press into your feet, inhale and come up to Urdhva Hasta, arms overhead. And exhale, release your arms to your side, Tadasana. Inhale as you sweep your arms up, and exhale, fold through center. Take your hands to the mat, step back, downward facing dog. Inhale, lift the right leg out behind you. And exhale, sweep that foot forward into a high lunge. If you have your blocks here, be handy here to have the blocks. So you're in the runner's lunge here. And let's just move the hips back and forth a few times, coming forward. And reaching the hips back or trying to straighten through the front leg. I like 2 blocks here. You can use them at any level. We'll come forward in the lunge and then sweep the right arm up. So you're in a closed twist. And then release. Inhale, sweep the left arm up. Open twist. And exhale your hand back down to the block. Step forward on your next inhale. Exhale to fold. Inhale, halfway lift. You can move the blocks out to the side here. Exhale, hands to the mat, step back, downward facing dog. Inhale, come forward into the high plank. And exhale, lower. Either take your knees to the floor, come through chaturanga, all the way to the floor. Inhale into that baby cobra. Exhale, release. Inhale, press up through table and back to downward facing dog. Inhale the left leg up. And exhale, release that foot forward between your hands, runner's lunge, grab your blocks again. And here, just moving in the hips, so straightening the front leg and coming down back into the lunge. Keep the back leg lifted. And then the next time you find yourself in the lunge, inhale, left arm comes up, close, twist. And release. Inhale, right arm up, open, twist. And release. Inhale, both feet together. Reach the crown of the head away from the sacrum. And exhale, fold. Hands to the mat, step back, downward facing dog. Inhale, come forward, high plank. And exhale, lower to the floor, your choice of how you want to get there. Inhale, let's press into a cobra. And exhale, release. Inhale, press up through table or upward facing dog. And exhale back into the downward facing dog. On your next inhale, walk your feet up to your hands, halfway lift. And exhale, fold. Now press into your feet and drop your hips back and reach your arms forward, Utkatasana. Your release will be a forward fold. Here you could take your blocks if you want to support you in this forward fold. As you inhale, drop your hips back, reach your hands forward, Utkatasana, chair pose. And exhale, forward fold. Then with your hands on your hips, either hinging or rolling, kind of feel into your body what feels nice to you to come up to standing. Take your time. And come into Tadasana. Relax with the breath. Let the breath settle you if you need settling. And then we'll open our stance wide. And here, if you need your block, grab your block for your hands. And we'll bring about 3 feet between our feet. Hands on hips, reach crown long, and exhale, fold. Okay, so now we're going to bend through the left leg as we bring our right hand over to that foot. And then inhale, reach the top arm up. So I'm going to the left here, right hand in front of that foot. I have my left leg bent, but I might be able to straighten it as I come into this twist a little deeper. Keep your neck relaxed. And then you could bend that knee again as you walk through center. And you could use your blocks here. You could bring your left hand now to the inside of the right knee, right in front of the foot, maybe some of you even beyond the foot. So I start with the knee bent. And if I have my hand pretty even with the foot, I'm going to bring my fingers back towards my toes. So my fingers and my toes are going in the opposite direction. Open up, reaching the top arm up, maybe straightening that leg in the twist. Maybe you can take your gaze up to that hand, or you keep your gaze forward and then release. Walk your hands back to center. And now let's bring our hands forward like we're in the downward facing dog. Find the neutral spine here. So you might think about drawing the pubic bone away from the navel slightly. So you keep the arch in your back. Isometrically draw your feet towards one another. Feel the inner legs working. Let your head go. And slowly walk your hands back towards, so that they're planted right underneath your sternum or your face, and walk your feet in slightly. Bending your knees. Let's come to a sort of a big squat with hands on knees. And then press yourself up to standing. Good. We're going to go into one standing balance where we're compressing in the abdomen as well. We'll do the eagle pose, Garudasana. So you could have a block if you wanted it. I'll actually move my mat out of the way. It might be a little easier to see here what I'm doing. So I have my block to my left side. I'm going to come down into the little baby squat and bring my right foot over my left and rest my right foot on the block, if you like to use the block. Now I'm squeezing everything in. I'm kind of squeezing and drawing my abdomen in as well. And then right arm comes under left arm. Backs of the hands together, all the way together, or just a hug. And then I'm going to drop my hips. And I'm going to attempt to keep my knees and my elbows in one line as I squeeze everything in. You could play with releasing the foot. You could play with coming forward in your eagle. Unwind the arms. Unwind the legs as you stand up. Release to Tadasana. Ooh, you might feel a little dizzy here. Use the breath to come back to center. Then inhale the arms up. Interlace your hands. Reach your hands up and away and take your gaze up towards your hands. Exhale, release your hands to your sides. Good, we'll take the block to the other side. Take your time on this if you feel any dizziness. We're changing positions. Forward, up, down, right? So bending through the knees, bring the left leg across, squeezing the legs together. This could be your eagle right here. You could bring the left arm underneath the right and hug yourself. Or elbows come crossing. Maybe you can cross at the wrists as well. And then sit and squeeze everything towards midline. Really squeeze everything towards midline. What does it feel like to draw your navel up and in, like really committing to the abdomen, compressing here? Reaching forward if you want, looking for some little field mice. skirting around. Release the arms. Release the legs as you stand up. Ooh. Ooh, I can feel the rush of blood to my head. Inhale, reach the arms up. Take the gaze up. Exhale. Come through heart center. Take your time. Release your arms to your sides in Tadasana. And then from your Tadasana, inhale, sweep up. Exhale, fold through center. Hands to the floor, step back, downward facing dog. Inhale to come forward, high plank. Exhale, lower through chaturanga. Take your knees to the floor. Lowering, come all the way to the floor. Just keep your head lifted here, but feel your belly compressed against the floor. Take a few rounds of breath, light in the hands. What does it feel like to draw your tailbone down towards your heels? And then you'll press yourself up through Cobra, up to all fours, and we'll slide the left knee forward. Right leg back and long. Now, just kind of heel toe your left foot over a bit. So it's sort of pigeon, but don't think too hard about making it pigeon. Just want you to rock over to the left hip and then rock onto the left shin. Weight on the left hip, weight on the left shin. Stay connected to the left leg, left hip as you sort of rock back and forth with this. So now I'm up pretty tall, I'm on my hands, but maybe feel okay for you to go to your forearms and just make this really delightful in your body. If you'd like to rest all the way down to the floor, go for that. But again, don't overthink pigeon, just think about a little twisty, compressed movement. And then we'll walk our hands back up, drop onto the left hip, and bring the right foot around so that the right foot is just outside the left knee. If for any reason your left knee, the lower leg bothers you, just straighten that leg out. And then just take your left arm and hook your right knee. That's our twist. Right hand can come behind. So we're twisting, but we're keeping the collarbones open. And again, begin by looking over your right shoulder and then take your head in the opposite direction. Maybe you could even bring your left ear towards your left shoulder or towards where your shoulder would be. So it's towards your kind of your scapula, left scapula there. Right, from here we'll sort of unwind. You've got the right leg bent now, so you're just going to bring that leg to the floor bent and swing the left leg back. Come up onto your hands. Again, it's just onto the hip and then rock onto the shin. So don't overthink it having to be pigeon. It's really just a nice rocking pigeon-like shape. And stay on your hands, go to your forearms, rest in this, come all the way to the floor. And then we'll rest on the right hip and swing the left foot across. Again, the bottom leg could be straight here. Ardha Matsyasana. Bring the right arm across. Tuck the left knee in towards your chest. Left hand can go behind. Here's our twist. We have a nice twist all the way through from lumbar spine all the way up into cervical spine. Belly's compressed. What does it feel like to turn your gaze over the opposite shoulder, the right shoulder? So de-rotating the head, maybe even bringing the right ear towards the right scapula. And unwind. You can remove your right arm, take both legs long in Dandasana, the staff pose, hands behind you, get that arch in your back. In fact, you could maybe even emphasize a little bit of an overarching here, a little bit of a back bend. Keep your neck lined up with your spine. So maybe take the head back, opening up in the throat. That might feel okay for some of you. Come back to center. And here we'll just slide hips towards heels. Take hands to the back of our legs, come down. If you're ready for Shavasana, go for it. If you need a little twist, another twist, you could come back into just an easy twist with knees stacked. Close the eyes down and see if you can sense where you are, what you need. And of course, Shavasana quite often is this last, well, it's almost always the last pose in a sequence, right, of every yoga class. But it is this way of dropping back into a more relaxed state. So see if you can have your breath help you shape your state of emotion, your state of mind. So lengthening the exhale, taking your time to straighten each leg, arms. And then very simple, just a very simple way to lessen our energy if we need to, our anxiety over energy, is to soften the jaw, relax the muscles on the face, soften our hands. And see if you can sense that melting into the floor. The final pose of the day. And stay as long as you like in your Shavasana. If you would like to come up to a seat, take your time, never in a hurry. And we'll end with 3 ohms. Also recognizing, as we've learned this week, the humming, the vibration in the throat and into the chest. Really, really awesome for settling our nervous system and finding that balance. So inhale through the nose. May the merit of our practice encourage all beings to unveil the hidden brilliance that lies within. We need it now, friends. We need to be shining bright. Namaste.